Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Spread. This is your guest host, Big Easy, in the studio with our senior baseball analysts, JK47 and J Dash. This is a very special segment we have here for you today. This is our final team breakdown, preseason MLB breakdown, and we saved the best for last, honestly.
Best for last.
It's your hometown Pittsburgh Pirates, and we got a lot to talk about. We got off-season moves, offensive and defensive alignment possibilities. Now, in the future, the possibilities are endless, right?
Endless.
Endless. We're going to talk, specifically about the offensive side of the 25-man roster, lineup, potential starting lineup, the rotation, what it may look like in August, what it looks like now. I mean, everything. The bullpen, the pitchers on the 25-man rosters, and we're going to give you full-on predictions of the whole season and everything. We've been waiting for it all year. I mean, we're on the come-up. Pittsburgh Pirates are on the come-up. They've been on the come-up, and we're excited about it. Basically,
believe it, man.
I mean, it's been a great time to watch baseball in Pittsburgh.
Definitely, especially what we've been given for 20 years there. And finally see a winner for a nice, solid span. I mean, for 2 years there, they were in it and then completely fell apart.
Collapsed, yes.
And then
I was at that no-hitter. And
then they finally break through, go over 500, make the wild card game, win that, move on to...
in stunning fashion.
Yeah, they actually had the Cardinals on the ropes in the next series as well and couldn't push through.
Couldn't close, but that still...
And then got shut out 2 seasons in a row in the wild card game.
2 beast pitchers, though.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Sometimes it happens.
It stings, though. I mean,
it does.
The Cubs got further than that last year.
Yes, they
did. That was their little first breakout year.
And the Cardinals always get farther than that.
Yeah, well, the Cardinals are slipping.
If you look at what they lost, you could say they are, but when you look at their lineup, they look just as good as ever to me. But let's start with this here. Let's start with the off-season moves that the Pirates made. Their one re-signing. Utility infielder Sean Rodriguez.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, 47?
Stay up.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at least he can play defense, I guess. I mean, didn't really do much with the bat at all last season.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, we'll take a look at their roster here and look at their bench. And if you look, this season is the first time where their bench is set up for the offensive side. And really, Sean Rodriguez may be the only defensive replacement they have. All right, so they signed John Jaso for 2 years as well. This is a guy that played catcher and outfield in his career. He's going to come over and play first base for the Pirates in a platoon role, getting the larger side of the platoon hitting against right-handed hitting. They also signed third baseman David Freese recently. Obviously, Jung-ho isn't going to be ready for the season, although he should be back either mid-April or very early May at the latest. So they were thinking maybe Jason Rogers at third base until Gung comes back. But I like this David Freese signing for a bench bat for most of the season. Like I said, their bench bats are offensive this season. I think that's what David Freese is going to be when Gung comes back, although he's going to play the smaller side of the platoon at first base as well. We'll have to see how these guys play at first base. But they're pretty deep at first base this season because they don't have...
Deep with mediocre talent.
Well, not deep with stars or anything, but they have offense here at first base this season.
Hopefully.
The questions are with the defense more. And if one doesn't work out, they have other options this season. They signed outfielder Matt Joyce to a minor league deal. We'll have to see if he makes the team or not. It's looking like he may not. In fact, the Baltimore Orioles are kind of interested in him and may make a little deal for Matt Joyce, something, maybe cash considerations or something like that.
Baltimore, man, they just want to be Pittsburgh in every facet of life.
They signed starting pitcher Ryan Vogelsong. This is a guy that he was very good for the Giants a couple years ago. In fact, he was one of their World Series heroes, I guess you want to say. I mean, he had a very big playoff. I think it was 2012, maybe, something like that. But last year, he was not a very good pitcher at all. Pirates try to bring him over, see if you can get anything out of him, turn him back into what he showed. I mean, this is a former Pirate that was not good for the Pirates. And then he went to San Francisco, became a starter and he
was serviceable.
Well, he had a couple good seasons, and then he sort of tailed off. I mean, he's an older guy. I don't expect much out of Ryan Vogelsong this season. I don't think he'll be in the rotation all season long. They signed starting pitcher / relief pitcher Corey Lupke to a minor league deal as well. It does look like this guy is going to make the roster as a relief pitcher, what JK47 wants. But I actually believe this guy should be a starter. I mean, he's thrown 94 mile an hour still, the same he did years ago before he got injured. He missed a few years. The last time he pitched, 2012 or something?
He's pretty much missed the better part of 2 seasons.
Yeah, even more than that.
Yeah.
It's more than that, actually. But when his rookie year, he was a beast, and he came out his second year and looked dominant, even better than his rookie season. And then he went down and really has never pitched in the bigs since. But he's back, and he's impressing right now in camp, and it looks like his arm is live right now. And I want to see him in the rotation at some point, even if it's the number 5 starter.
To get something out of these dudes.
Lupke actually has an opt-out clause tomorrow, Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday, just so you people know. He has an opt-out clause tomorrow if he doesn't make the 25-man roster. So there's going to be teams interested as well. So if we're going to know by tomorrow if Lupke's going to be on this team or not. They signed relief pitcher he was a starting pitcher. He'd be more of a relief pitcher for the Pirates. Kyle Lobstein. This guy can actually pitch in long relief, and he has some upside. He's still a young guy, but he didn't pitch very well for the Detroit Tigers the past couple years. But he's still, I think, 25 years old and has some upside. So he may make this team still. He's one of those guys. It's either he's going to be the 25th man or he's the man out. They signed what looked like relief pitcher Juan Nicasio, but now it looks like he's going to be in this rotation. It looks like Jeff Locke is out of this rotation. Juan Nicasio is going to be in just because of what he's showed.
No Locke. So what happens to Jeff
Locke? It's
Locke?
possible. Jeff Locke could be in the rotation still. It's not guaranteed that Nicasio's in.
I understand, but where does Locke go? If
he'd either go to long relief or he'd be gone. That's it. They signed relief pitcher Neftali Feliz as well.
Hang him up, Locke.
Hang him up, Locke.
Believe it.
No, you don't.
No,
he's not old or anything. He'll do something somewhere.
I've been done with him for the last 2 years. I'm done with him.
We'll talk about Locke here in a minute.
No, we won't.
Yes, we will. Yes, we're going to.
You will.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
That's fine.
Continue.
They signed relief pitcher Neftali Feliz. This guy was a closer at one time, had a down season last year, but he looks pretty good in camp as well, so it looks like he's going to be somewhere towards the back end of this bullpen. They signed relief pitcher Daniel Bard to a minor league deal. It doesn't look like he's going to be on this 25-man roster. The same with relief pitcher Trey Haley, who they signed. They signed relief pitcher Eric O'Flaherty to a minor league deal as well. It looked like he was going to be the 25th man, the last man in this bullpen as the lefty. But they actually, they liked what they see out of Lobstein and Corey Lupke. And some of these guys aren't going to make the team. So what they did, they traded him over to Atlanta, who he pitched for in the past. And he actually was one of the best relievers in baseball when he was pitching for Atlanta. Had a 4-year stretch where he was just dominant. So he pitched pretty well this spring too. So Atlanta was probably pretty excited to bring him back. And they made a couple trades here. They traded for first baseman / outfielder / third baseman Jason Rogers with Milwaukee. They gave up Keon Broxton and Trey Supak for him. Keon Broxton was a guy I liked in this minor league system. Trey Supak was in the lower levels. Nothing big there. Keon Broxton, though, I was kind of excited to see this guy come up through the Pirates system and get some playing time. He has some nice speed. He has a decent bat or whatever. I don't think he's going to be an elite player by any means or anything. But Jason Rogers always hit well in the minor leagues, and he hit well in limited playing time for the Milwaukee Brewers last season. This guy has a serious bat. He can hit 280, 290, something like that. But the question is with his power. He looks like he should be able to hit more power than he really does. At tops, I would say low 20s in home runs. And that's if he played over a full season. Obviously, he's not going to, but he's going to be more of a bench bat, I would think, at some point this season. But he has one option left as well. So I believe he's going to start in the minor leagues. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. They also traded for starting pitcher John Neese from the New York Mets and got rid of Neil Walker in that deal. 47, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I hated seeing Neil Walker go because it just seems like every time I get a jersey of somebody, they get traded.
I hear you.
But, I mean, I like Neil Walker personally.
I
I
do,
mean,
too.
I think his trade's going to pretty much level out as far as they pretty much gave up what they're going to get in return.
Yeah. I mean, Neil Walker, going into last season, he was one of, if not the best second baseman in the National League. He came off the 23 home run season. He was hitting lefties well. But then last season, he didn't hit lefties well again. His home runs went down. He's only a 270 hitter, you know what I mean? So he's a good baseball player. There's questions of whether he can hit lefties or not, and he may end up being in a platoon, and he wasn't going to platoon in Pittsburgh. He's the Pittsburgh kid. There's no way in hell Pittsburgh was going to platoon Neil Walker. So it's kind of good to get him out of here, I would believe, just for that fact. But, I mean, I'd still like to have Neil Walker on this team in some shape or form, you know? Not big on Walker?
Oh, I loved him. It was neat how he was there. Straight up, born and raised.
Born and raised.
I liked it. But you know what? Now, as the season looms here, it's just around the corner, the upcoming season.
You love their second baseman this season.
Well,
He's your favorite player.
jung-ho is my favorite Pirate. He just is. So I've been thinking about that recently, too. So whatever. jung-ho all day.
Believe it.
We'll talk about that later.
No, we won't.
Yeah. Oh.
One last trade. They traded for starting pitcher. He's a prospect, Trevor Williams. He's actually close to big league ready. He was the number 5 prospect in the Miami Marlins system. What did we give up for him? Pitching coach Jim Benedict. Now
Later, Jim.
Well,
Peace,
look, man,
Jim.
Jim Benedict was a part of that turning pitchers around thing. So
Right.
That could hurt in the end. We don't know yet. But I don't know. I think Ray Searidge was the most important piece there. So we got rid of Jim Benedict, bring in Trevor Williams. There's a chance he can be in this rotation at some point this season if maybe Vogelsong doesn't work out. Something happens with Glasnow or Tyon. They don't come up.
If Yin's missed that, we traded a pitching coach for an actual player.
Yes. A solid player. Number 3 at highest, the number 5 at lowest, I would say. Well, not at lowest. Obviously, you can wash out.
You can fade out.
They also traded for starting pitcher Jesse Biddle from Philadelphia. They claimed Yoervis Medina, a pretty good relief pitcher. He pitched for Seattle. They claimed him and then quickly turned around and traded him for Jesse Biddle, who was a top prospect at one time. He went down with Tommy John surgery. He's not going to pitch this season. Has some control issues or whatever, but he wasn't going to be on this 40-man roster, so they tried to put him in the minor leagues, and when you do that, there's a waiver period and someone else can claim him. So the Atlanta Braves went out and claimed him. So that's pretty much
so
it.
They misfired on that one. Tried to wheel and deal and didn't get it.
Yeah.
Didn't get it done.
I mean, I would love to have Jesse Biddle in this organization.
Well, they made a move.
They tried, it didn't work out. That's what I like about Neil Huntington. He's trying things here. He's getting rid of coaches for pitching prospects. You know what I mean? But here's what they lost. They lost A.J. Burnett to retirement and J.A. Happ to free agency. Really, that's losing one pitcher because Burnett went down. They got Happ, and he was the one that took over Burnett's place.
So 2 is greater than 1 and minus. Yeah, I get it.
2 equals 1
Okay.
would it be.
Right.
But it's still a big loss. We'll have to see. Can Juan Nicasio be that breakout guy this season? Can John Neese pitch like he did prior to last season?
Neese is garbage.
We'll talk about it, man.
Yes, we will.
Okay. But we'll have to see. I mean, no matter what, though, I don't think you're going to get A.J. Burnett numbers out of these guys. I think it's pretty much impossible from what Burnett did last season.
Burnett was a true champion.
Believe it.
I applaud you and thank you for your service.
They lost Charlie Morton in a trade with Philadelphia.
Good riddance.
Okay. Don't care about him.
He was.
He did his job, man.
He was a
team. He was a part of a team that won 98 games last season.
He was a Tom Gorzolani, new age Gorzolani is what he was.
He's better than Gorzolani. What do you think, 47? Yes or no?
Ground chuck.
Yes.
I could take it or leave it. Like, if he can keep the ball down, he was fantastic. But, I mean, there were just times where he couldn't control his pitches.
He would pitch great until the 6th inning and give up 4 runs and he'd lose. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, he's a number 4 pitcher. Whatever. They lost Joaquin Soria to free agency. They brought him over at the deadline. That's not a big loss or anything, although he's a very good reliever. They lost the Antonio Bastardo. Good riddance to him, I would say. This is a guy that came over from the Philadelphia system.
good riddance to the
He
company.
was a mainstay in their bullpen when we got him.
Bastardo was good for the Phillies, and I was excited when they brought him over, and he just didn't put up the numbers I expected from him last season.
He was okay, like at the end of the season. Like he had a little bit of a rough patch at the beginning. He control issues early on,
Right.
but he got better as the season wore on. But either which way, I mean, losing Joe Blanton, though, I mean, I would have liked to have seen him stick around.
I would have too. That's another guy they brought over at the deadline last season. So it's not like a big loss or anything, but a guy that would have been nice in his bullpen. But let me tell you, man, we'll talk about this bullpen. I think it's stacked this season. Might be the best bullpen they had over the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They also lost Aramis Ramirez to retirement, another guy they brought over at the deadline. We knew at the time it was just for a short time.
Of course. Thank you for your service.
And they lost Pedro Alvarez. They did not pay him his arbitration. He goes to the Baltimore Orioles. This is the one guy I would have liked to see him bring back, really.
Of course. Why not? It's
Yeah,
like a couple years ago, they should have kept AJ. They should have just kept Pedro. Who cares?
I think they should have kept Pedro Alvarez. You're right. But, I mean, I like what they did in signing John Jaso. I know everybody in Pittsburgh, when it first happened, everyone was like, oh, my God, John Jaso, he's garbage. That's the first thing I heard from everyone I know is John Jaso's garbage.
Well,
Then I went back and listened to our segments from last season, and me and 47 are talking up John Jaso and saying how in 450 at-bats he could hit you 15 home runs and he gets on base a ton.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Well, he's not going to get 450 at-bats, I don't believe, but we'll see what happens. You're right. But Pedro Alvarez, I think that's the biggest loss offensively, obviously, and I would have liked to bring him back. Even if you call Bell up and he takes over Pedro's job, just put Pedro on the bench for the rest of the season as a bench bat, and then he's a free agent next season, you know? So I would have liked to see that happen. But that's their losses along with Neil Walker in that deal. So really one good pitcher, Neil Walker, and Pedro Alvarez is really what they lost this offseason.
And slightly the heartbeat of the dugout. You know what I'm saying?
Jim Benedict.
Yeah. So wait, no. You say you've lost Jim Benedict, you've lost the Pittsburgh Kid, you've lost El Toro, okay, and you've lost Burnett. Yeah. I mean, that right there, that's
some solid baseball players.
That's a piece of the livelihood of the dugout, of the clubhouse, too.
It's a piece of it.
I mean, it's a piece of the clubhouse vibe.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. Those are some big losses.
So they're gonna have to overcome a little different feeling. They're gonna have to, they don't care.
Up.
They don't care. You don't think they care? They're just gonna keep playing.
I think they care about the loss of A.J. Burnett and Neil Walker. I think McCutchen was good friends with Neil Walker.
Of course.
So I think that's somewhat of a loss in that aspect, like the locker room talk you're talking about or whatever. And A.J. Burnett, he was a leader to this pitching rotation. He was a friend of Jeff Locke's. But Jeff Locke, you can follow him out of here.
Yeah, Jeff Locke, they're playing golf together, hopefully.
Jeff Locke is locked out of the rotation.
Locked out of the locker room. One other player they lost, a big name here. Corey Hart is unsigned.
Yeah, big loss.
Didn't have him most of the year anyway. What's that matter?
You know who reminds me of Corey Hart? David Freese.
David Freese?
Yeah, a couple washed out bums.
David Freese actually had.
Freese is 2016's Corey Hart.
Nah, David Freese, no.
Yeah, right.
He's not that bad, man. David Freese.
I don't think he's that bad, but
he's the new Hart.
He's basically just going to fill a bench position, so as long as he plays good defense whenever he takes over, that's fine.
I mean, he's an average defender, but like I said, they brought him in to start the season at third base because he has some power still. I mean, I think he hit something like 14 home runs. We'll see here in a minute last season. But let's start with this defensive alignment and what they look like offensively, and we'll talk about what they have now and what they're going to look like in the future as well. But we'll start with the outfield. Obviously, center fielder Andrew McCutchen, former MVP and perennial MVP candidate. He's 29 years old now. He's hitting double-digit home runs each of his first 7 years, 21 or more home runs, and 83 or more RBIs each of the past 5 years. He has at least 87 runs scored each of the past 6 years. He has at least 70 walks each of the past 6 seasons, had a career-high 98 walks last year. But It was one of his down years, actually, from his prior seasons. He only hit 292. He's usually over 300. He had a 401 on base as well. That was actually his lowest number since 2011. And you remember he got off to that extremely slow start. In fact, in the spring, he had those knee problems. Remember, he wasn't stealing bases like he usually did last season, just 11. That was a career low. He still plays great defense, but he also made some mistakes last season, you remember, defensively as well. So it was kind of a down year for Kutch. I'm thinking he's healthy and has a better year this season, wouldn't you? 47?
Well, I mean, if he's definitely going to be going into the season healthy. I mean, and no doubt Pittsburgh is going to need him to not have that slow start because his baseball team revolves around him.
And I have no problem with that. I let it revolve around him.
Not at all.
He'll be in the MVP talk all year.
Yeah, I would have to believe so. His contract is up in 2019. Now, do you sign him to a large deal? Do you trade him prior to 2019? Or do you let the contract play out?
Well, I think some of that depends on what Austin Meadows does.
Yeah, well, Austin Meadows, to me, I mean, I'm trying to draft him. I got my fantasy draft tonight at 9 o'clock. Austin Meadows is at the top of my list.
Your baseball fantasy drafts tonight?
Yes, 9 o'clock, man.
Damn.
Believe it.
Big night tonight.
Man, I've been busy with sports for the past week, dude. I went up to my brother's, was recording, all kinds of stuff, man. I got a lot of work to do still. So what do you do? What are you thinking?
Oh, he's kicking. They're kicking.
Okay, are you going to trade him before 2019, or are you going to let the contract play out then?
They'll never trade him. They'll just let it work.
Let it play out.
Yeah.
47?
Well, I mean, historically, that's pretty much what Pittsburgh's done. They've pretty much let their contracts run out. Someone like Doug Drabeck, remember, Bobby Bonilla was the same way.
Traded Neil Walker.
Yeah, but we also let Barry Bonds walk.
Yeah, I mean, this is a different regime, though, man. We're talking about totally different people here.
Yeah, you can't talk to Dash about the regime. I've heard that I've heard that word 100. I'm sick of that word, regime. You can't talk about anything the Pirates did in the past because it's not this regime.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does make sense, but still, the culture. It's a culture.
The culture is Clint Hurdle. He turned his culture around. So I guess we shouldn't even go over anything because the culture is they're going to win games this season, correct?
Well, I think they're going to win games. I just don't think they're going to win a ton of them.
How many? 2, 3?
No, about 86, 87 wins.
Hey, now, calm down. Save the predictions till the end.
All right. So you're good in center field, obviously. Now, left fielder, Starling Marte. Some believe he could actually overtake Kutch as the perennial MVP considerate each season. And I mean, I can see where they're coming from. The one question to me is the on-base percentage because he doesn't take many walks. That's where, I mean, that really matters in the MVP voting because that changes your on-base percentage. Those low walks compared to Kutch's high walks, I mean, that's a big thing when it comes down to it.
Marte will never have Kutch numbers.
Well, he already has Kutch numbers outside of the walks, really. I mean, last season, he looked really good. And, in fact, since he's a rookie, man, he's hit at least 280 with 12 home runs, 73 RBIs, and 30 stolen bases each season. Those are big numbers.
That's a shade low. That's a tad under Kutch numbers, though.
Well, I'm saying that's the lowest in each category that he's done. If you go look at Kutch, man, his first couple seasons, he didn't do much. You know,
so you're telling me Marte has better numbers than McCutchen then?
No, not better numbers. Close. I mean, close to. You said he'll never have numbers close to McCutchen.
He'll never have numbers. He'll never have McCutchen. I said he'll never have McCutchen numbers, and you.
I said all besides the walk rate, he pretty much does. Yeah.
But so the numbers are the same then.
Well, look, Marte hit 19 home runs last season. Kutch hit 23. I mean, I expect Marte to take the next step. I think JK47 does as well and hit a few more. Although some people believe he'll fall back down to 15 as well. He has 101 stolen bases over the past 3 seasons as well, though. So he has a ton more speed than Kutch.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
He's only 27 years old, too, man. So he's right in his prime. And they have him on a great contract as well. Like I said, those 19 home runs, that was a career high last season. Some people say 25 home runs is his potential. Some people believe down at 15 he'll drop back down. What do you think? Easy 47?
Yeah, I see 15 to 18, and I'm fine with that. I want to see hard line drive doubles is what I want to see from Marte.
I think his average will dip a little bit, but I think he'll hit a few more.
What did he hit last season?
What average was?
Yeah.
288.
You think it's actually going to go down from that? He's
If
hit
he-
over 280 every year of his career. And, I mean, he still hasn't hit his pure prime season, which is usually 28.
As long as he figures out the breaking pitches, absolutely. But
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he has a little bit of plate discipline issues, I guess you would say. 442 Ks and 700.
Sometimes
and
he just looks-
1,751 at bats, which isn't terrible. But again, 93 walks in that span as well.
Sometimes he just looks stupid at the plate.
He's still
Marte.
improving, man. But you
Well,
also got to
yeah.
consider he's possibly the best defensive outfielder in baseball. He actually saved 24 runs last season, won the Gold Glove. And people are actually wondering, should he be moved to center field sometime soon and put Kutchin left?
Didn't he get concussed last season, or hasn't he been concussed once or twice?
Not last season. I think it was the season before.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you
He's
better
all
watch
right.
out about that.
Oh, I think he's
I'm
going to be.
telling you.
I think Marte is going to be a stud this year, personally.
Okay, so,
So
how
who,
many?
who has the better season, Marte or McCutcheon? Yins are all on Marte. Yins are crazy.
No, I'm saying no. I'm still saying Kutch is the better
all
player.
right,
No,
Jeff.
I'm on
or
Kutch.
Jake.
I'm not
JK.
I'm not on anybody. I just think they're both going to be good.
Yeah, so do I.
I think this outfield has tremendous potential. I
So
mean,
McCutcheon has better numbers this year.
I'm
There's
gonna
a
say-
question.
how
Who
many
has
home run-
better numbers?
How many home runs does McCutcheon have this season? 47. He
I'm
had
gonna say-
23 last year.
Let's say 24,
24. How about Marte?
Okay.
21.
24 and 21.
Hmm.
So you're getting an extra 3 home runs there.
I think
They're gonna-
McCutcheon. Right now, I got to give it to McCutcheon. He's been doing it. He's
Doing it well.
so. I mean, I think Marte is going to pull right alongside of him.
Well, how about Gregory Polanco? A lot of people believe this is going to be his real breakout year. This guy is supposed to be closer to a 300 hitter. He's going to have more power. I know he's going to have more power than he showed so far. In fact, he showed more power in his debut season, actually. And I think his walk rate's going to go up next year as well. But last year was his first full season. If you look in 2014, he only hit 235 with a 307 on base. He hit 7 home runs, though, had 14 stolen bases, 30 walks compared to 59 Ks in 277 at bats. But last season, I mean, his power went down a little bit from that. His speed went down a little bit because, I mean, in the beginning of the season, his speed was up. I mean, he was stealing bases left and right, and then he had that knee injury, and he played through it, and it really cut back on his stolen base potential. So I think that's going to go up this season. And his walk rate went down a little bit last year, although his average went up 21 points, and his on-base percentage went up 13 points. He also scored 83 runs last year, so he's scoring runs even if he is a 250 hitter. But I think he can still improve on that a good bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went up more than 30 points this season, but I'm going to say more around 15 points, and he's around a 270, just above a 270 hitter. I'm going to say he hits more home runs and has more stolen bases as well. He needs to improve his defense. Marte was the same way. Remember when he came up, he had defensive issues for the first couple of seasons. Now he is a Gold Glove type outfielder, one of the best in baseball, obviously. Polanco got to improve his base running as well. Marte was the same way. He struggled on the bases. Last year, he was a lot better on the bases. I think Polanco is going to be the same way. Maybe not this season. Maybe it's still a year or two away. Because let's face it, Polanco is 24 years old right now. Marte didn't get called up till he was 24 years old. That's how good Polanco was in the minor league system and how quickly he advanced. So Polanco, I mean, he still has a ton of upside ahead of him. I think he has 15 to 25 home run potential as well, just like Marte does.
He was definitely hitting the ball hard, like towards the end of the year last season.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of fell into a little bit of an abyss, like the middle part of the year. But
Yeah.
second half, he started turning it on, and he's actually a big reason why they won 98 games.
Believe it.
This is the intriguing part of the puzzle to me this year is what he's going to actually do and what he's going to be able to accomplish.
Well, one thing he has to do is hit better against left-handed pitching.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that's going to drive his average up if he's able to do that, and it's going to drive his on-base percentage up. And let me tell you, if he turns into that hitter he was in the minors when he can hit close to 285, 290, even 300, his on-base percentage is going to be really high as well, and he's going to be one of the higher on-base guys on this team. What do you think? How many home runs out of him, man? He had 9 last season, 593 at-bats.
16.
16, that's the exact number I came up with as well. So you're getting 10 more home runs out of your outfield this season you're hoping for. I like it.
Hoping for more than that, but
Your
I mean,
Indians are reaching.
I
I don't
know.
think we're reaching at all.
I don't know. This outfield has had.
I don't see Polanco hitting any home runs off of Arrieta.
He was hitting the ball hard last year, man. I'll tell you what. I mean, out of 152 hits, he had 35 doubles, 6 triples, and 9 home runs. So, I mean, the power was somewhat there.
And
Yeah,
he's
he came
23
on.
years old.
When did he come on in like June and August? Maybe he'll come on in June and August this year. We can't have that. He needs to be solid all year long and contribute and not.
Oh, I agree fully.
Well, I don't know if he's capable of that. Truthfully,
Oh, I
being
know he's
consistent.
capable of being one of the best outfielders in baseball, man. There's no doubt about it. It's just when is it going to happen? Or I mean, it may never happen. You never know.
all right. Well,
But this guy is considered by many one of the best selections for breakout candidate this season. Your possible backups, you got Matt Joyce can play out there. Like I said, he may not make the team. You got Michael Morse, who can play some first base, but you brought over David Freese. It looks like he's going to play the smaller side of a platoon. So
David Hart.
Michael Morse might not be on this team very long either. They were trying to deal him. They might end up cutting him at some point. Well, they're probably going to at some point this season unless he's mashing the ball because they got some prospects they need to call up. But John Jaso can play in the outfield as well. Sean Rodriguez can play anywhere. Josh Harrison could play the outfield. And Pedro Florimon, they were playing in center field this spring as well. He's a fast guy. He plays great defense. We'll have to see if he makes the team as well, though. And he'll get cut at some point. Yeah, he doesn't hit, but, I mean,
Ever.
he came up with – no, not ever, because he came up with that big triple to win a game, walk-off triple or something. Remember that last season?
the one hit, Yins no.
Yeah, I get it. He's not a big bat or anything. But, I mean, they have a lot of backup options here in the outfield as well. It depends. We'll have to see
He
who.
batted 087.
Yeah, he's not good with the bat.
I'm
But
sorry.
you can't say never.
I'm feeling it.
0.
All I
I'll feel
remember
it.
is a walk-off hit from him.
That's just great.
Who else is gonna back up your boy Mercer?
We'll bring Kevin Elster out of retirement.
All right.
All right, a couple of guys they have in the minor league system are Willie Garcia. We might see him this season, probably September when rosters expand, but he's 23 years old. He hit 275 with a 314 on base last season between Double-A and Triple-A. 15 home runs, but 23 walks compared to 123 Ks and 480 at-bats. And if you look in Double-A, he hit 314. In Triple-A, he hit 246. So we want to see what he does this season in Triple-A, and we'll get a better read on what he is really going to be. But he has a ton of raw power, so he might be able to be a 25 home run guy if he can hit well enough in the bigs, and that's a question with that walk and strikeout rate. But I think this guy's going to be a solid fourth outfielder. I think he's a bench bat. And I think he could be a long-term fourth outfielder for the Pirates or a trade piece at some point if they really need to. The other two guys, you got
Did
Austin.
you just say trade piece?
Yeah,
Okay. Now we're getting serious now.
we're getting serious.
Yeah.
How about Austin Meadows? This is a guy that I'm not trading unless you're going to sign Kutch long-term, which
Never
I
heard of
don't
him.
think would happen. Austin Meadows?
Austin Meadows, never heard
One
of
of
him.
the top prospects in baseball. I think he's ranked in the top around number 20 on most lists.
What has he done for
We
me?
were able to draft Austin Meadows because because Mark Appel didn't sign us.
Yes.
He didn't sign with us when we drafted
Right.
him with our first pick.
So what does Austin Meadows do? I haven't heard anything about him.
Well, Austin Meadows, he's been moving through the system pretty fast, actually. We might see him in September 2017, I would say. But he's only 20 years old. He's already played in Double-A, and between A Advanced and Double-A last season, he hit 310 with a 360 on base, had 43 walks compared to 84 Ks and 533 at-bats, so he has great plate discipline, good speed, 21 stolen bases, only 7 home runs in those 533 at-bats, though. But again, he's 20 years old. I think he has the potential for 25 home runs, something like that, maybe even more. I mean, he's still very young, and I mean, he has a lot of growth to go still. He plays excellent defense. Like I said, he has the speed, excellent plate discipline.
What positions does he play?
Outfield. That's the problem. Well, something's going to have to happen at some point with this outfield, man. Somebody's got to go. And there's a lot of talk. I mean, Kutch has been saying recently that he really wants to stay a Pirate. And if he was able to take a little bit less money, it could happen. I just don't know if that's the best move for him or not. But Austin Meadows is actually currently recovering from an orbital bone fracture he suffered this spring. But he should be back pretty quickly, actually. he's not expected to miss too much time. Like I said, the big question is, will there be any space for him next season before September at least? I mean, you could call him up when rosters expand to 40, but if not, even in 2018, all these guys are still under contract that you have in the big league system. So at some point, you got to make some kind of move. And you can't forget Harold Ramirez. This guy is another starter. He should be up in 2018. He's 21 years old, hit .337 with a .399 on base last season in A Advanced, 22 stolen bases, 25 walks compared to 48 Ks and 306 at-bats. He's a pure hitter, has good speed. The main question with him is, what is his real power potential? I think the upside would be like 20 home runs. To be safe, you'd say more in the low teens maybe, something around 12, 13. But either way, this guy is a very good hitter as well, and he's going to be a starter at some point for someone, if not the Pirates. So the Pirates have a lot of questions. The outfield is locked up long term. The only questions are how to get Meadows and Ramirez to fit in at some point. You're going to have to trade McCutchen or let his contract play out. You're going to have to decide maybe Polanco, if he doesn't have his breakout season, is it time to maybe see if you can still get a big return for him? It's not Starling Marte. This guy's on a...
So Marte is staying.
Marte's staying. His contract
Polanco's
is
garbage. Polanco's garbage. Okay, he's out. So if you want to fit one of these other, he's not going to work. If you want to fit one of these,
are you just hypothetical here? I mean,
no, this is real talk.
Gregory Polanco is a beast, dude.
Gregory. Oh, I'm sorry. He is not a beast. He is far from a beast. Gregory Polanco is
He's
far
24 years old.
He looks like a beast with his giraffe-ass legs.
He's gonna be so good, man.
Well, then you take these younger. Then it's trade pieces you're talking about.
You could
Meadows and this other dude. You what was his name?
Harold Ramirez.
Are trade pieces then?
He's having a good
and
spring.
Get pitching. Get ace pitching.
But they got that in the minors too, so those got to be. So what are we doing? Trading ace pitching in the minors for bats, and then what are we doing? I mean,
we need pitching. We're trading these. If we have the best outfield in baseball, we don't need more outfielders. We need pitching.
I think Kutch is actually going to be the one odd man out eventually. To be honest with you,
He's old and
it's not even the fact that he's going to be a bad player. It's just that I just don't think they're going to want to pay him the money. I mean, that's just the Pittsburgh way.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously they have these two guys, so who knows if they're going to try
to
make a move.
paying one guy $500,000 and Kutch 20, they're going to kick Kutch to the curb. Yeah, I forgot about that. They don't pay these dudes.
They don't pay.
Well, I mean, no disrespect to Kutch in any way, because everything he's doing for this franchise is huge. I mean, he's...
what I want to compare it to is if you sign McCutchen, I think you're going to end up like the Cincinnati Reds did when they signed Joey Votto. That's the problem.
Well, the Pirates will never do that.
I just don't think it will either.
McCutchen will be the bad guy because he won't sign.
I don't think he'll be the bad guy.
He won't sign the Pirate. The Pirates will give him a reasonable offer. And McCutchen will be able to probably get $20 more million somewhere else
per season.
So he'll go and get that, and then it'll make him look like a bad guy. But
I don't think. I mean, McCutchen's done so much for the city. I mean, he's always donating his money.
So we would just if he just went and signed with Baltimore for 120, and if
Kutch.
we offered him 100, and he went and signed for 150.
We're saying Neil Walker. I mean, I know it's different because we traded Neil Walker, but we still like Neil Walker. You know.
Yeah, we would love McCutchen. Well, we're forever respect McCutchen. Yes,
but the way I see it, the outfield is set up for at least the next 7 years. Is that funny?
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man.
Pretty funny.
The outfield is set up for the next 7 years.
Yeah, they are. They do.
Okay, well, listen. Hopefully I'm alive in the next 7 years because I want to witness it.
Well, I'm just saying it's set up for the next 7 years.
This team hasn't been set up in the last.
Well, why do I say
7
years? Why do I say 7 years, man? Because the contracts. You have 3 years before arbitration, then you have your arbitration. Right. So these players are not going to go until at least 7 years from this date. You know what I mean? You're always going to have at least 3 good outfielders for the next 7 years. Is what I'm saying.
According to the contracts.
Yeah, of course.
I get it. I get it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to first base then. a position that the Pittsburgh Pirates have had trouble with in the past. Let me tell you. I mean, Pedro
for the past 10 years.
Yeah, in the past, for the past 20 years, to tell you the truth. Kevin Young might be the best one. Who's the best first baseman you remember from the Pirates over the past 25 years?
Sid Bream.
Sid Bream? After the Sid Bream era.
I like Young.
Young was good. He was a great defensive first baseman. Had a really good half season he had a real good half season at the plate.
Yeah.
I
mean, personally, I like Pedro Alvarez. They're the best out of anybody.
I
know he
sucks. No, what about your boy Adam?
Oh, Adam LaRoche. I mean, he was good for the Pirates. I still like Pedro better than Adam LaRoche.
Okay.
I like Pedro. I'm a Pedro fan, man. I'm telling you.
We were Pedro fans.
I'd have paid him $8 million to hit 30 home runs.
You like the Orioles?
I like the Orioles.
Okay, I like their uniforms.
Yeah. What were you saying, 47?
I don't know. See, I think he would have been motivated this year, to be honest with you. He'd have picked up that arbitration for one thing. And
here's the problem, man. I don't think it was Pedro at all last season. I mean, we talked about how much last season. I did, at least. The problem was Clint Hurdle doesn't like him, and he wasn't playing him when he should have been. I mean, he wasn't playing versus lefties, obviously, but if you seen a lefty in the game, Pedro was out. If it was the 6th inning, you're taking him out, you know? And then he's gone. He just wasn't getting the bats he deserves, in my
Analytics, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing this season. John Jaso batting first in the lineup.
Yeah, they're going to...
John Jaso, he's 32 years old. He can also play a little bit of catcher. I'd say emergency situation for how the Pirates roster's set up. And he can play some outfield as well. And when Josh Bell gets called up, I think John Jaso can push him to the outfield some, you know, play him at first base if you need
Spell Polanco.
Could, yeah, definitely. If Polanco doesn't pick it up against left-handed pitching, sure, why not? Although John Jaso, he did hit left-handed pitching very well last season, but in his career, he hasn't hit lefties very well either. But last season, he hit 286 with a 380 on base. He only hit 5 home runs, but he only had 185 at-bats as well. So, again, like I was saying before, how 47 and I were talking about this last season, he can hit 15 home runs in 450 at-bats, but that was with Tampa Bay, too. So, with the Pirates, in the Pirates ballpark, I'd be thinking more of 10, 11 in 450 at-bats, something like that. So, he doesn't have a ton of power or anything, but he had 28 walks and 39 Ks in that 185 at-bats. The strikeouts were actually up a little bit from prior seasons as well, so you could expect it to go down a little bit, or maybe it doesn't. We'll have to see. But he has a career 361 on-base percentage. It's been 380 or better in 3 of the past 4 seasons. He has 14 home runs in his last 492 at-bats over the past 2 seasons. He like I said, he hit lefties well last season, but not in his career, so I don't expect that to continue. He's never really played first base at all for an extended period, just here and there, so we'll have to see. But again, he was a catcher. Catchers always move to first base. I don't think it's going to be as hard of a transition.
Can't be that hard. First base is not that hard, people.
Well, Pedro, I mean, he's always had fielding problems as well. John Jaso, not quite as much, although John Jaso was never an above-average catcher or anything either. The question with John Jaso, though, outside of can he play first base, which it looks like he should be able to, is can he stay healthy? He's never really been able to stay healthy in his career. He's kind of like Francisco Cervelli, how he was coming in last year. We were saying the same thing. He's never been able to stay healthy. But a lot of that, again, he was a catcher like Cervelli, and it's hard to stay healthy as a catcher as well. So moving him to first base should take a lot of pressure off that as well. He's actually played in no more than 109 games in any season. But John Jaso, I really like this guy. I like the idea of batting him in front of McCutchen. I said it earlier when they signed him. I want him in front of McCutchen, but I want McCutchen batting third, and I want Jaso batting second. I don't want Jaso leading off, really.
Well, too bad.
Yeah, too bad. I mean, we'll have to see how it works
analytics. And they're going to overthink everything and win 80 games.
I mean, it's possible, man. Clint Hurdle's on the hot seat this season with this lineup he's putting out there to me.
Yeah, all right. Clint Hurdle is on the fire seat.
What do you think about John Jaso, though, 47?
I think he's a solid baseball player. I mean,
he's not a star.
Well, here's the key with on-base percentage, in my opinion. Well, it's nice to have a guy that's on base if it's not translating in the runs scored.
Yeah.
What really is that high on base? Yeah, you're going to be on base like 38, 39% of the time.
But that's why I wanted him in front of Kutch, because if you're getting on base, then you're going to score runs as well.
Agreed. But I mean, there were just times where this lineup last year just couldn't hit with people in scoring position. You know, like the clutch hits just weren't there at times.
But again, I mean, this offense was one of the top 4 offenses in the National League when it came down to just runs scored.
That's going to be their thing this year, though. They're going to have to, they're going to have to get these runs in. If you're going to put Jaso at first and he gets on base.
That's why Hurdle's in the hot seat, man.
That's why McCutcheon's on the hot seat.
Well,
you got to get these runs in, and jeez.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like the lineup. We'll talk about that here in a minute, though. But the smaller side of the platoon, David Freese, it looks like, once Jung-ho comes back. Freese is 32 years old, so he's not necessarily too old or anything. He's right at the back end of his prime, although he was a lot better earlier in his career, I will have to say. He can also play third base. Obviously, he's going to start the season there. Last year, he wasn't that bad in 424 at-bats, but he Ks a little bit too much, I guess. 107 Ks.
What do you do in 424 at-bats?
Hit 257 with a 323 on base, 14 home runs, 31 walks compared to 107 Ks.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's off the bench. I'm excited about it. As a starter, I don't like it so much, you know?
Well, gung-ho.
He's a career 276 hitter as well with a 344 on base. So this guy was a good hitter over the course of his career. He plays average defense at third base. We'll have to see what he does at first base. I would guess no better than average. He's only had 9 career games at first base. He is considered a team leader type guy, though. That locker room guy you want to see easy.
We'll see.
He was a World Series hero for the Cardinals in 2011. Hit 397 with a 465 on base, 5 jacks, 21 home runs in that playoffs that year.
You know what helps in a locker room, though? To lead, contributing.
Yeah, and he can definitely contribute, man. I mean, between John Jaso and David Freese, if we're just getting rid of Bell and saying he's not making an appearance this season, I could see a combination of 16, 17 home runs, something like that. And, I mean, you're going to get on base a ton with John Jaso, obviously.
We'll see about that.
What do you think, 47?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fringe, too. I mean, still to me, we've downgraded.
From Pedro?
Absolutely.
Offensively, I would say, yes. Defensively, it's an upgrade.
Well, without question, but, I mean...
F defense.
I'm not saying all that.
Come on.
I really don't think Pedro's defense really burned him last season, though.
No, I mean, it didn't whenever it happened. I mean, of course, the ball going through the glove was a tough one to take.
Two of them within a week, and you wouldn't let me live it down like he was garbage. Not you personally, 47, you guys.
Well, I mean...
Get your glove right, homie.
No, learn how to throw the ball, man. I mean, it's not that difficult to throw a ball 90 feet.
What do you think about the combination of Freese and Jaso?
I mean, I would have liked to have seen Michael Morse personally be the...
I kind of would have too, man.
Freese and Jaso sounds great to me 5 years ago.
Jaso's still... Freese will have to see. I'm still really excited about what Jaso can do.
The only thing with Morris that kind of concerned me last year is, I mean, he hit the ball okay. He ran a 390 on-base percentage as a Pittsburgh Pirate.
As a Pirate, yeah. He hit 275 as well in 69 at-bats with the Pirates last season.
But the power was down.
Yeah, just what, 1 home run?
1 home run, 3 doubles, and a triple.
Yeah, and he was not good at all for Miami. But if you go back to 2014, man, he was a San Francisco Giant, a team that won the World Series. He hit 279 for him with a 336 on base, 16 home runs, and 438 at-bats, playing in right field. It was his 5th straight season with double-digit home runs. Last season, he only had 5 home runs, so it was a down season for him. He's a career 276 hitter with a 333 on base. He's below average defensively at both first base and outfield. Staying healthy has always been an issue for him, obviously. Michael Moore is one of those guys that cannot stay on the field. But again, I think he's a very good bench bat and a 4th outfielder or a backup first baseman, however you want to look at it. But again, the Pirates are looking to deal this guy. They might end up cutting him. We'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah, he does nothing for us.
He put up good stats just 2 years ago in 2014, man. Then he came over to the Pirates after struggling with Miami, and he hit 275, a 390 on base, man.
But if he's not going to be in the lineup on a daily basis, he's not going to contribute
No, I
what
mean,
we need from him. So
I'll
Connor,
disagree.
You need bench players, and don't you, dude? Everyone's been
know if-
complaining about the bench bats the past couple years, how there's no offense, and I've always been saying you need defense on your bench as well. Now it's finally offense, and you're saying he's not worth it on the bench either as a power back coming off the bench.
I don't know if he's capable just being that bench guy. I thought
He hit
I always-
275 doing that last season, pretty much.
All right, then roll with him. Fine.
I mean, I'm
Ethic.
just saying as a bench bat, man. I'm not saying anything more
Yeah,
than that. He
I
is
don't
34
know.
years old now, so he's past his prime for sure.
It's tough for me.
Oh, he might not make the team, so you might not have to worry about it, man. How about Jason Rogers? He can play first base as well. He can also play third base. He's 28 years old. He hit 296 with a 367 on base, 4 home runs, 15 walks compared to 34 Ks and 152 at bats with the Brewers in his first taste of extended action last season. He's a career 290 hitter with a 372 on base in the minors. 40 home runs combined in 2013 and 2014 between Double-A and Triple-A. 12 home runs and 274 at bats last season between Triple-A and the major leagues. So you could see 20 to 25 home runs out of him if he got a full season under his belt. We'll have to see if he ever gets that chance. It doesn't look like he's going to with the Pirates unless there's some injuries or something. I think he has some solid power potential, like I was saying, but if nothing else, he's been a good hitter through the minors, and he showed it last season, like I said, with the Brewers in a limited playing time. But again, he looks slow this spring, and he plays below average defense. He has an option available, so he's probably going to start in Triple-A, I would have to believe. What do you think about Jason Rogers?
I don't know. I don't really think much of it, to be honest with you.
I was excited when they brought this guy over, actually. I want to see him get some playing time. I hope this spring doesn't continue into the season. I'd like to see him get some playing time because this guy can hit, man.
It's like with the outfield. Where's he going to fit in?
Yeah. Actually, when Josh Bell gets called up, I kind of like, if I'm thinking long term, I'd kind of like Josh Bell and Jason Rogers as the 2 first basemen. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind Rogers as a long-term bench bat, and he's under control for a pretty long time as well. Like I said, he still has options left in minor leagues at 28 years old. So I'm excited to see what Jason Rogers has. And then Sean Rodriguez can play some first base as well, although we're probably not going to see him there. Hopefully not going to see him there. I don't want to see him as much as possible, really. He's 30 years old. Now, I'll take a 246 average out of him. That's what he hit last season, although he took 5 walks and 63 Ks and 224 at-bats. That's ridiculous, and it's terrible, and it's actually the worst walk rate of his career. He hit 4 home runs in 224 at-bats. If you look in 2014 for Tampa Bay, he had 12 home runs and 237 at-bats. So his power was down as well. Now, you've got to expect it in Pittsburgh, obviously, but I think he has a little bit more power in that bat, but I don't know. I think he's pretty much on this team for defense. He plays a super utility role. He could play pretty much any position besides center field, even catcher in emergency situations. He was their emergency catcher last season, to tell you the truth. And I don't want him, obviously, you don't want him at catcher. I don't want to see him at first base too much. And I don't want to see him at shortstop either, although he can play there.
I enjoy Rodriguez, but I was just real quick. I was looking. Morris is having a really good spring.
I know.
And your boy Rogers is struggling.
I know.
So,
that's what I was saying.
So that's tough. That makes it tougher for them to.
Well, Rogers has an option left to go to the minors, so he's
Okay.
probably going to start in the minors. We'll go over their roster here in a minute, though.
Cool.
The last guy I want to talk about here, their future, Josh Bell. We should be able to see him this season. He'll start the season in Triple-A. Hopefully he hits well enough. I mean, he's always hit well enough in the minors, so I see him hitting well enough. It's all about his power. What's that going to look like? He's 23. Last season, between Double-A and Triple-A and 489 at-bats, he hit 317 with a 393 on base. 7 home runs. Yeah, that's low, but again, this guy crushes the ball. He has a very level swing. He's going to – look, I bet you he hits the ball harder than any Pirate here within the next couple years. When Josh Bell, give him a couple years in the league, he's going to hit the ball harder than any Pirate. But is it going to turn into power? He needs to put more loft in his swing is what he really needs to do. Look, he still had 78 RBIs last year. And look at this, 65 walks compared to 65 Ks and 489 at-bats. This guy's plate discipline is off the charts, and he can actually be a batting title candidate each season if he really turns into this type of hitter in the bigs, no matter if he has power or not. He has the gap power at least. So his walk rate and strikeout rate should stay around where it is.
K rate.
Yeah, believe it. But it's all about the power. How much power is this guy really going to have? I think he can turn into, well, really, I mean, when he was first came into the system, they were looking at him possibly a 30 home run type hitter. I'd back off that a little bit, say more of a 25 tops. But if he gets loft under a swing, you really never know because he can crush the ball. But that's their future, man. And I believe we're going to see him very soon and long term. That's their answer, obviously. So I'd like to see, like I was just telling 47, I want to see Jason Rogers as a long-term backup as well. So, again, the way the contracts play out, Josh Bell, I think the Pirates are set up for the next 7 years at first base. You'd love it. All these numbers are going to be around that time, although there's a couple positions that I'm not quite so sure about yet. But, yeah, first base, I'm telling you, Josh Bell is a hitter, and he's going to be good.
All right.
So what do you think about the first base position this year?
It is what it is. I mean, there's really...
It yins what it yins.
Well, compared to what we had in the past, do you think it's going to be an improvement or...
I mean, I think it's going to be solid, if not unspectacular. I mean, there's just not really much to say about it. I mean, Bell's pretty much what we're waiting for.
Yeah. And we could see him soon. If he hits to start the season and Jaso struggles or something, you could definitely see Bell come up soon.
As long as he doesn't throw the ball into the stands either when he's trying to throw the third base, rather.
Bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually got to improve a little bit defensively as well. He wasn't very good last season in his first taste as a first baseman. He was turned from an outfielder. Again, another outfielder in this system. They had to do something, and they moved him to first base. I see Easy just smiling over there. What's up?
Well, because JK made me laugh. It yins what it yins. Because that's so typical of the Pirate baseball fan to just be like, hey, what do you think about first base this year? Oh, it is what it is.
You don't have to make me sound Canadian, Jesus.
Well, it's disappointing is what it is.
Well, what's your opinion, Easy?
What's my opinion is they, through incompetence or lack of, I don't know, just going out and spending money, they've never had a solid first base power bat.
What do you think of this first baseman this season?
They should have just kept Pedro and let him ride out because, first of all, first base is not that hard of a position to play in baseball. I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear nothing about it. You stand there, you catch the ball, you stand there, you field some ground balls. Maybe you're a cutoff guy on
Easy
one
was
position.
A first baseman, by the way, people.
I played first base. We all played first base. Anybody can play first base. Come on now. And it's not...
So is their first base position garbage? That's all I'm asking. Do you think it's garbage this season?
No.
I don't think it's garbage either, but I mean, I just think we've clearly downgraded.
Because they have like 15 things to do there. I mean, it'll be garbage if the 5 options they have are garbage.
That's why I like them. I think they're set up nicer than past seasons because you look last season, it was Pedro and Sean Rodriguez for the most of the season.
They had nothing at first base. They weren't prepared.
Now you got Jaso, Freeze, Morris,
now they're
Rogers.
Prepared.
Yeah, they're a little bit more prepared this season.
Yeah, the only way it doesn't work is if all 5 of their options don't work.
And if so, then call Bell up and let him hit.
Right. So we're fine at first base. We've come to that conclusion.
Okay, let's move on to second base then. Your boy.
Well, yeah, we're set at second base too.
Josh
Harrison is the most hardest working Pirate since day one.
And look, he's only 28 years old, so this is really a year I expect him to have one of his better years. Maybe not as good as 2014 because he was a beast. He hit .315 with a .347 on base, 13 home runs and 18 stolen bases and 520 at-bats. And we kind of predicted he'd go down last season, some of us more than others. He hit .287 with a .327 on base, 4 home runs, 10 stolen bases, and 418 at-bats. Now, he missed 6 weeks with a thumb injury. And if you look, in April, he hit .213, okay?
Okay.
May, 304. June, 300. July, 304 in 5 games, then he had his injury. August, he hit .238 in 9 games, returning from the injury. September, 305. October, 500 in 3 games. He's a career .284 hitter, so I think you can expect at least 280 something out of him. And look, he showed last season outside of April, he's still a 300 hitter as well.
He can hit 300.
I
Jay-Hay
think
can
he
hit
can, too.
300. Jay-Hay 300 all day.
I believe so. Now, he's not going to have a
Easily.
high on-base percentage because he doesn't take many walks. But I think he's going to hit more home runs than he did last season. Like I said, 13 in 2014 in a career year, just 4 last season, missed some time. I think we can expect that to go up a little bit. And if you ask me, it's obviously an upgrade over Neil Walker versus left-handed pitching and a downgrade versus right-handed pitching. But the defense, Walker has always been solid. Harrison's always been solid, and he makes some amazing plays here and there as well. I like Josh Harrison in the lineup. I know 47, you like him more as a utility player, but he's a spark plug for this team. He plays several positions, so if you do end up bringing up Hansen at some point, maybe Harrison goes back to that role player. I don't know. The one position I don't want to see Harrison at is shortstop. I wouldn't mind him as our third baseman or our second baseman. I'm totally fine with second base this season.
There's no reason for Jay to be at shortstop.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
None whatsoever.
But I think the problem here may be depth because Sean Rodriguez looks like their second option at second base right now.
Sean Rodriguez is their second option at every position.
Not necessarily, no.
Well, generally.
Not in the outfield.
Off
not
the
at
bench.
third base. Not
Off
at
the
first
bench.
base.
So you're going to bring in Morris off the bench to play outfield?
I would. I'd make him my fourth outfielder, yeah. Right field, that's all you can play.
Yeah,
But everybody
Morris
else
plays better defense than Serpico.
No. Definitely not.
Well,
I'm saying if you had to start him.
I'm not talking about starting. I'm talking about
Off the bench
all
late
these
in the game.
defensive replacements Hurdle does all the time.
There's only one guy, it's Sean Rodriguez.
Right, so he's going to be getting a lot of playing time all over the field.
All over the field. Yeah, I could see that happening, especially if someone's struggling defensively.
Plus, like you said, he is our second base backup.
Possibly. Now, there's this guy, Cole Figueroa. He also played shortstop and third base in his career. He's 28 years old. He was in the Yankee system last season in AAA. He hit .292 with a .355 on base. Now, he doesn't have much speed or pop. 3 home runs, 4 stolen bases. But look at this. 44 walks compared to 27 strikeouts and 449 at-bats. He's a career .290 hitter with a .375 on base. This is a guy that has a high offensive floor, but a very low ceiling as well because he doesn't have the pop or the speed. He plays above average defense. He's a solid utility player. Like I said, he can play around the infield as well. And he could give you long stretches of good play if someone goes down injured just because he has a solid bat. Now, I don't think that walk rate will stay where it is because he doesn't have that gap power. He doesn't have much power at all. So, I mean, pitchers aren't going to be afraid of him. They're going to come right after him. But actually, I was reading projections that have him, if he was able to get enough playing time, they have him at the second best contact rate in all of baseball, which is crazy. Now, I wouldn't mind him overtaking someone for the final spot on this bench if he's able to hit at even a 270 rate. You know what I mean? Because he does play the good defense and you can move him around a little bit. And he is fighting for a final spot on the roster. We'll have to see what happens. You also got Alan Hansen. We should see him sometime this season. He can also play shortstop or third base. I think he's best suited for second base, though. He's 23 years old. He hit .263 with a .313 on-base percentage last season, 17 doubles, 12 triples, 35 stolen bases. He had 37 walks compared to 91 Ks and 475 at-bats. That was all in AAA. His numbers were actually down from prior seasons. He's not necessarily a .260 hitter in the minor leagues. We'll have to see about the big leagues. But he plays good defense at second base, mediocre defense at shortstop, and we'll have to see about third base. He just moved over there last season when Jung-ho had to move over to shortstop when Mercer got hurt, and they were actually thinking about bringing Hansen up to play third base. But this guy actually does have some nice gap power. He has a line drive swing. He has great speed, obviously, with those 35 stolen bases, and he's a triples machine as well. He has something like 10 home run potential on a given basis. He could hit a little bit more than that in a single season or something, but on average, I would say around 10 at best. But this guy, a triples machine, like I was saying, gap power, a ton of speed, solid defense. This is their future. Somewhere, is it second base and Harrison at third and Jung at short? Is it third base? Is it shortstop? I'd like to see Mercer pushed out at some point, but I love Mercer's defense. Mercer got better defense than any of these guys at shortstop, so it's kind of hard. I want to see Alan Hansen get at bats, but where's it going to be this season? Or are they going to wait till September and then call him up then and use him off the bench in ways and on the base pass? What do you think, 47?
About Hansen?
Yes.
What kind of a spring did he have?
He had a very, very, very good spring, but like I said, they have too many players here for the roster, and he really wasn't going to make this team in no way, and there's still the chance he doesn't get called up till September because they really might not have room, because you want to get this guy at bats because he has that starter potential.
Oh, he definitely does. I mean, I love the line drive power. I love the gap power.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely plays up at PNC Park, especially in spacious left center field.
Yeah, so what are you doing there? How are you going to get him at bats is the real question now.
I just don't, in the short term, I just don't think it's going to happen.
That's why he's in AAA right now, so we might have to wait on him to see him. It might even be until 2017. We'll have to see how things work out. Scouts actually believe the Pirates have the deepest middle infield in all baseball. Some scouts, I mean, one of the deepest, I should say, as well, between second base and shortstop. Not necessarily in the big leagues, but in the entire system. This Max Moroff, we should see him in 2017. He's 22 years old, a .293 average with a .374 on base, 28 doubles and 7 home runs. Look at this, 70 walks compared to 111 Ks and 523 at-bats in Double-A. That's a beast plate discipline. And he has good speed as well. 27 stolen bases. He's a switch hitter. Like I said, he draws a ton of walks. And he has good base running ability as well, which helps out with that solid speed. He has the gap power, enough gap power where I think those walks can remain the same way in the big leagues and they won't drop off drastically because he is a good hitter and he does have that gap power as well. So Max Moroff might actually be the future at second base, to tell you the truth. And then there's one last guy here, Kevin Kramer. We should see him in 2018 or later. He can also play third base, though. He's 22, hit .291 with a .375 on base in the lower levels last season. 30 walks compared to 36 Ks and 227 at-bats. Added 12 stolen bases. He has strong contact skills, gap power, plays good defense at second base. It's still a little bit too early to make projections on this guy of how good he'll really be, but he's already considered a top 15 prospect in the Pirates system by most scouts. So they're really deep here in the minor league system at second base. And looking forward, it's either going to be Josh Harrison or Alan Hansen for the future, in my opinion, with an outside shot of Max Moroff as well, like I was saying. And that should set them up again for the next 5 to 7 years. It depends on if Josh Harrison is the long-term second baseman, because his contract is up in what? I think he signed a 6-year deal last year, so he has 5 more years left on a deal. So that's the worst case scenario at this point, is Josh Harrison's your starter for the next 5 years. Best case, Alan Hansen pushes him off the position, or Max Moroff as well. What do you think about second base, 47? Are you happy with it? I know you're not the biggest Harrison fan.
Oh, no, I'm not. I never hated on him once. I expected him to decline a little bit last year. I think he's going to be okay if he's healthy. I mean, obviously, he's shown that he could be an elite player whenever he is healthy.
If he can add a little bit of pop, more pop than he showed last season.
I mean, but the speed's there, though.
Yeah, the speed's definitely there. He's not going to steal you 30 bases or anything, but it's not out of the question to see 20 out of him.
Oh, he's definitely the best option right now at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to wait to see what Alan Hansen does.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to him improving his stats in the minor leagues and AAA this season as well from what he did last season. And I'm hoping he can push his way onto the roster somehow. And I'm excited about Max Moroff as well and see if he can repeat those stats he showed last season. If he does, man, this guy is for real, because that was in Double-A that he put up those numbers, man. That's for real right there. All right, how about shortstop? You got Jordy Mercer there still. He's 29 years old. Last season was a down year at the plate for him, obviously. He hit .244 with a .293 on base, just 3 home runs while he missed 56 games due to an injury. He's traditionally a slow starter, though, and he was starting to heat up before his injury. He was actually hitting .293 in his prior 147 at-bats before he got injured. And if you look, in 2013, he hit 8 home runs. In 2014, he hit 12 home runs. So his numbers were down last year, and I expect him to be a little bit better of a hitter this season if he remains the starter all season, obviously, because they have options here, although he is the best defensive shortstop they have, and that's where most of his value comes from. But if he's pushed to the bench, eventually, I could see him being the Sean Rodriguez type role as well. You know what I mean? Outside of, he can't be the emergency situation catcher or anything. And he might be able to play the corner outfield position.
Yeah, we're just going to have to take what Mercer gives us, to be honest.
For now.
I
yeah.
like him better than Pedro Florimon.
Yeah, please believe it. But we'll have to see. If Hansen pushes his way into this lineup, you can move Harrison to third and Gung to short, or you could put Hansen at third and then Gung on short.
Right.
Harrison can play short, but we don't really want him there. Pedro Florimon's probably their second best defensive shortstop on his team. He can play second in outfield as well. Sean Rodriguez could play short, but we don't want to see him there much.
Nope.
Alan Hansen, obviously, like I just mentioned, can play some shortstop. Then they got some other guys here. Adam Frazier, should see him possibly next season. He can play third base and outfield as well. He's 24, hit 324 with a 384 on base in Double-A last season. 34 walks compared to 42 Ks and 377 at bats with 11 stolen bases. He has a solid glove, not spectacular at the position. He has excellent plate discipline, not much pop in his bat. So, he looks like he could be a very good shortstop in terms of offense, not necessarily in the power department or anything, but you don't get much power out of shortstops around the league. There's a couple guys here and there, just a handful of guys. But the two guys that everyone's really looking at are Kevin Newman and Cole Tucker. Now, Cole Tucker was drafted in 2014. Newman was drafted last year, but Newman's older, and they expect him to get to the bigs a little quicker, possibly as early as 2018. He's 22 right now. He hit 257 with a 318 on base last season and 257 at bats in the low levels, 19 walks compared to 30 Ks. 13 stolen bases. He projects to have very good hitting ability and good speed, and he can likely stay at shortstop. I'm not ready to project anything for him yet, though. I actually seen him ranked as high as a top 25 prospect in all of baseball, but I still haven't seen it yet. He didn't do much last season, had just 257 at bats in the low levels, didn't put up a high average or anything. So while it's still possible, I want to see it before it happens. And Cole Tucker, he's just 19. He hit 293 with a 322 on base last season, 25 stolen bases, 16 walks compared to 49 Ks and 300 at bats in low A. He suffered a shoulder injury, and a lot of people are actually forgetting about this guy, to tell you the truth. He plays good defense. He has good speed. He's a line drive hitter. He has a little bit of power projection in him. He is 6'3" with a 185-pound frame. You could think maybe 15 home runs at the top end of it, I would say. But this guy looks like he could be a future starter as well. We'll have to see. Again, it's a little too early to project anything definitive at this point. But we'll have to see, too. He has a very strong arm, and he had that shoulder injury. So we'll have to see if his arm strength is up where it was last season. But looking long-term, you got Jordy Mercer, I'd say, for the next 2 seasons, between 2016 and 2017, unless they move Gung over to shortstop to make room for Hansen, or if Hansen can improve enough to be a big league shortstop. And like I said, I'm not ready to say Newman or Cole Tucker are going to be starters in the bigs. So really, I think the shortstop position right now is only set up for about the next 2 seasons for sure.
Well, it's fine. We're just going to have to take it and go with it. We've never had beast shortstop either. No.
Yeah, I like when Gung was there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want him playing shortstop, though. I think I'd rather have him playing third.
Especially since he just broke his leg, so we'll have to see if he's even able to have the same type of range at shortstop. But, he's such an upgrade offensively over Mercer that if you could find a good third baseman as well, I really wouldn't mind it that much. But I tell you what, Mercer, he can hit left-handed pitching very well. He has over a 300 batting average versus lefties in his career, so I wouldn't mind him pushed to a platoon role at some point either. So shortstop, the least impressive position offensively, I would say, when Jordy Mercer is in at the position. Now, third base, when Jung is healthy, he's the starter. It looks like he'll miss the first half of April and possibly early May. We'll have to see. I think he's going to be back before May, to tell you the truth. But like I said, he could play shortstop, and in a pinch, he could probably play second base as well. He's 28 years old, so he's right in his prime right now. And in his rookie season last year, he killed it. Hit 287 with a 355 on base, 15 jacks, had 24 doubles and 2 triples along with that, added 5 stolen bases and 421 at-bats. He started the season on the bench, you remember. He hit his way into the lineup, hitting a lot better than most people expected, and he gave better defense than most expected as well. Played very good defense at third base and played solid defense at shortstop, though Mercer was a lot better. But his season was also cut short from that takeout slide at second base by Chris Coughlin as well. So that's the question about Jung-ho Jung. Is he going to be able to return at full strength from that injury? Because he's still working his way back from it.
Brutal.
Yeah, but I mean, because they're really counting on him to come back. This offense is going to have to carry a lot of this load this year.
Behind that, you got David Freese. He's going to start the season at third base. Like I said, he had a solid season. Nothing great last year for the Angels. Josh Harrison can play third base. Jason Rogers can play third base. Sean Rodriguez can play third base. Alan Hansen, like I mentioned before. And the one prospect they have at third base is Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's projected to come up in 2018, 2019, something like that. This is Charlie Hayes' son. He's only 19 years old. He was a first-round pick in 2015. He hit 308 with a 408 on-base percentage in 185 bats in the low levels of the minors. Had 28 walks compared to 31 Ks and 8 stolen bases. He plays solid defense. The only questions with him are if he realizes his power potential as well. He has an upside of probably a little over 20 home runs, I would have to say. That's the thing the Pirates have been doing recently, is drafting players that they know are going to be good hitters despite whether they're going to have power or not. That's what the St. Louis Cardinals used to do as well as San Francisco Giants. Don't worry about the power bat as much as just bringing in these young, good hitters, and maybe their power potential will show eventually.
It'll awaken.
But they're saying Ke'Bryan Hayes can actually move through the system very quickly, and I believe he's Jung's replacement eventually. So we're going to see Jung at third base for the next 3 seasons. Then his contract will be up, and that's right when Ke'Bryan Hayes should be ready for the bigs. So over the next 9-10 years,
we're going to third base.
Well, possibly. Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's still young, and even though they're saying he can push through the system quick, you still want to see him hit in Double-A, you know what I mean? At least Double-A before you make a projection on him. But it looks like he's going to be a good hitter and the future third baseman for the Pirates here. Or like I said, Hansen can move to third, Harrison can move to third. There's a lot of questions here, but I see this system set up for a while at the third base position. And you got catcher, the last position offensively here. You got Francisco Cervelli. He's 30 years old. Last year was a career year for him in his first season with the Buccos. Hit 295 with a 370 on base, 7 home runs, added 5 triples, 46 walks compared to 94 Ks in 451 at-bats. And he played in 130 games, by far the most of his career. Between 2008 and 2014, he was a Yankee. Never even came close to those numbers. There's questions of whether he can repeat that season from last year, but look, man, he's a career 284 hitter with a 357 on base. He had 5 home runs in above a 370 on base percentage in 198 bats for the Yankees between 2013 and 2014. So to me, he can hit. His biggest problem in the past was really staying healthy. He showed last year he was able to stay healthy. It's still a question, though. I mean, at this age, is he able to stay healthy? That is a big question because he took a beating behind the plate last year. But he was very good behind the plate. He's very good with his pitching staff. And I believe he was snubbed from the All-Star game.
Without a doubt. Solid.
And I think he's the best catcher in this division, even with Yadier Molina.
Hey now.
Molina's bat has dropped off. I mean, that is if Cervelli can repeat those numbers. But like I said, he showed in his career he is a good hitter. He just needs to stay healthy. And behind him, you have Chris Stewart. Now, he's 34 years old. And if you look, man, In 2014, with the Pirates, he hit .294 with a .362 on base and 136 at-bats. Last season, in 159 at-bats, he hit .289 with a .320 on base. He doesn't hit for power or anything. He has no pop whatsoever. But if you look, prior to being a Pirate, he hit .241 or lower from 2011 to 2013 with the Giants and the Yankees. He has solid defense, and the one thing is he was Cole's personal catcher last season, if you remember, for most of the season, and then they changed that late in the season and put Cervelli, gave him some time with Cervelli for that wild card game.
Yeah, he had to.
But that's a question I have. Did that affect Cole with any in that game to you? Because Cole did not pitch well in that game.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't? What do you think, 47?
If you're an ace and you're a beast, you shut people down. It doesn't matter who catches the ball.
The Braves used to start personal catchers for Greg Maddux all the time.
John Jaso, Sean Rodriguez, catchers in emergency situations, like I was saying before. They do have some catchers in the minor league system. Elias Diaz, probably going to see him late this season, if nothing else. And he could be one of our 2 catchers starting off next season. He's 25, hit .271 with a .330 on base in AAA last year and 325 at-bats, 29 walks compared to 47 strikeouts, 4 home runs. He's excellent defensively. He's ready for the majors glove-wise. Some consider him actually the best defensive catcher in the minors. I don't necessarily go that far. But he could offer Cervelli-type pop, 7 to 10 home runs, something like that. His bat could eventually become good enough for him to be a starter, but I think he's more of the second catcher long-term for the Pirates here because we have Reese McGuire, we have Cervelli now. I think there's 1 year we need a stopgap because Cervelli's contract is done after this season, and I think it's going to be possibly Stewart and Diaz next year. I think they might go out and try to find something else instead of Stewart. I think Stewart might go after this year as well, and it could be whoever they bring in Diaz, and then McGuire the following season. McGuire is one of the top prospects in baseball. He's 21 years old. Now, last year in A Advance, he didn't hit great. .254 with the .301 on base, no home runs in 374 bats, 26 walks compared to 39 Ks. But again, this is an excellent defensive catcher. Many still see him as an elite offensive catcher, I would say. I mean, they really believe this guy's going to turn it around offensively, and we know catchers, it takes a little bit longer for them to mature offensively as well. His bat really hasn't come around yet, but if you look in the Arizona Fall League, they were saying he had one of the better seasons out of all the players offensively, so maybe he is starting to turn it around. We'll have to see. But Cervelli's gone after this year, like I was saying. It could be Stewart and Diaz in 2017, or they could bring someone in for a year, and then McGuire and Diaz from 2018 and beyond, I would have to say, for the long run. So you're set up a catcher, I would have to believe. So what is the thinnest position heading into the season, do you think? Is it second base, considering Sean Rodriguez is your backup?
I mean, defensively, there is no thin position. I mean,
yeah. What about offensively?
Offensively, second base and shortstop are pretty thin.
Thin?
Please. First and third are thinner
After
than short,
Josh,
in my opinion.
there's not much offensively after Josh Harrison.
I'm not saying necessarily the greatest players, the thinnest positions. Like if someone went down, who would come in and who would be the
that's what
backup?
I'm screaming
Okay.
right there.
Yeah, well, second base, obviously.
Well, they have Harrison, they have Rodriguez,
Yeah,
possibly this Figueroa.
It's nothing. They just traded away their second baseman, so obviously if whoever starts second base, Hay, if he gets hurt, they're in trouble.
Well, not necessarily. You got Hanson.
Well,
Hanson's a backup option as well. If there's an injury. If there's something that puts Harrison on a DL, it's not as bad as just needing a backup for a game, where you have to play Sean Rodriguez. But you're losing Walker, and Pedro erases a lot of power, obviously, from this lineup. But I want to know who won't succeed their total from last season, their home run total. You have Marte at 19, Kutch at 23, Polanco at 9, Gung hit 15, Mercer only hit 3, Harrison only hit 4, Jaso had 5, but we're talking first base, so Pedro hit 27. But between Freese, Jaso, and Bell, I don't know what we're going to see in terms of power. And Cervelli hit 7 home runs. So, yeah, we lost some power, but I see almost all these guys having more power than they had last season, to tell you the truth, outside of the first base position, because we lost our first baseman, and second base, obviously, losing Walker. But I think everybody around them can pick up their power a little bit and is expected to pick up their power a little bit, especially Mercer. He could hit 7 more home runs than he did last season.
Well, that's a stretch.
Well, look, man.
I could see Jay hitting 10 home runs and not 4.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, Mercer in 2014 had 12 home runs, man, and he hit 3 last season.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question that he gets back up to 10 home runs, something like that.
Okay.
And then you got Stewart, Morse, Rogers, Rodriguez, Florimon, Freeze, Hanson, Joyce, and the pitchers can add a little bit of home runs as well. Francisco Liriano, remember him?
Go deep, no doubt.
Deep ball. But they hit 140 home runs last season. Are they going to go over or under that? Because 47, you're saying a few of these guys are going to hit more home runs as well.
I think they're going to go over.
Over? You just don't have that big power bat at any given time.
I think you got some solid power guys, but nobody that's going to be like overwhelming or spectacular.
Right.
I could see Jaso hitting 12 home runs. I could see McCutcheon hitting over 20 home runs. Marte.
Over 20.
The big question marks to me are Gung and Polanco.
Gung and Polanco. Polanco only had 9, Gung 15 last season. I could see Gung, if healthy, hitting 20, 25. And Polanco, I could see him doubling his total, to tell you the truth.
I'm not hating on Gung by any means, but I need to see it this year.
I don't see Gung ain't going over 15. He's getting 15. That's about it.
Really? You
Oh,
got to
no.
remember, he didn't start the season as a starter, too.
Even it doesn't matter. Well, he ain't starting it this year either.
Yeah, but it took him a little while to get it going. I mean,
Yeah,
as soon as he gets back, he's going to be the
he hits
starter.
15 home runs, I'd be surprised.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow. What do you think, 47?
Depends on. Let's see what the leg looks like. I mean, is it going to affect his swing, his power? I mean,
Okay, so give me a projection on him.
11.
11 home runs.
Yeah, I'll give him a dozen. That's it.
Dang.
I'm
gonna go.
I don't see deep balls from Gung-ho this year.
I'm not hating on him. I just think I think it's gonna take him a while to get back, and I think that's gonna play into his overall numbers.
I just see more base hits, not home runs.
That's possible. I'm going to say 19.
Damn.
4 more than last season. You got to remember, he was just a rookie last year. Now he's 28, right in the middle of his prime.
Yeah, he ain't
Ready to roll.
He's not Mark McGuire.
Well, Mark McGuire had 60-something. I didn't say that.
Well,
I said 19.
McGuire took steroids.
19's a lot of
All right,
home runs.
so let's move into the positional player side of this 25-man roster. There's 13 players you're going to hold. 8 players are going to be Cervelli and Stewart at catcher. You got your 3 outfielders in Kutch, Marte, and Polanco. And you got Harrison at second, Jaso at first, and Mercer at short. Those 8 players are definitely going to stay on the team probably all season unless Stewart really struggles and they call up Diaz. But you got 2 players that's definitely going to be on the 25-man roster to start the season. That's going to be David Freese. He's going to start at third base for you till Gung's healthy. And Sean Rodriguez. That's your only defensive backup at this point. But you got 5 players remaining for 3 spots. You have Michael Morse, who can play first base and right field. Like I said, the Pirates might be trying to trade him right now. They might end up cutting him. You got Jason Rogers, who can play first base and third base. He could be left off the roster considering Morse can play first base as well. Andy has an option left. Freeze can play first base. Rodriguez can play first base, obviously. So he is probably going to start in the minor leagues. So that would leave 4 players for 3 spots. You got Pedro Florimon, who would be the only other defensive replacement besides Sean Rodriguez. And you have Matt Joyce, who it looks like may not make this team, but he would be a 4th outfielder. Morse can play the outfield as well. And Cole Figueroa, we were talking about before, this guy's very versatile, and he has a pretty good hit tool as well. So let's say they put Rogers in AAA. Who you leaving off this team, 47? Out of these guys right here.
Florimon and Joyce.
No, just one guy, because you're putting Rogers in the minor leagues.
Sonny Matt, I don't know. Sonny Matt Joyce, what's that all about? I'm not big on Florimon either.
Yeah, I'm not big on either one of them.
I mean,
Joyce can be a solid bench player,
Eh.
in my opinion, a 5th outfielder, because I'd put Morse over him in the outfield.
What's the last guy's name you said?
Matt Joyce?
No, not
Pedro
him.
Florimon?
No, the other
Cole
guy.
Figueroa?
Yeah, he's out.
He's out?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The person I want to see us keep is Michael Morse. I want him to hit. I wanted him to play first base and bat against lefties.
I hear you.
That's That's ultimately what I want. That's what should happen, in my opinion. I think that Morse has a higher offensive ceiling than what Matt Joyce does. I think he.
Oh yeah. Joyce was a good hitter at one time. He's a little bit. He's declined over the years. Yeah, nothing great or anything. So you're getting rid of Joyce or Florimon?
I just said, well, Florimon, we really don't need him right now.
Well, that's more defense. I mean, it's pretty offensive heavy. That would be for more defense. Joyce would be for a little bit better of a bat.
In my opinion, I wouldn't have either one of them. I'd have Alan Hansen getting
well, look,
experience.
one of them could definitely go because this is all without Jung-ho Gung on the 25-man roster. And when he comes back, you're going to have to get rid of someone else as well. Like I said, Rogers in the minors. You got Morse. Let's say we cut Florimon. Well, when Gung comes back, you're going to have to cut either Joyce or Figueroa then. Okay? And then you got in-season call-ups. You got Josh Bell, Jason Rogers. Let's say he's in the minor league system. We want to call him up. You got Alan Hansen. They could wait until September for him. I'd rather see him called up earlier. I think Diaz and Willie Garcia will be September call-ups. So you have 3 more guys there. So let's look at this. You got Morse, Freeze, Rodriguez, Rogers, Florimon, Joyce, and Figueroa as the last guys here. Now, Rogers to the minors. 1 got to go before opening day. Let's say Florimon. 1 goes when Gung returns. Let's say that's Joyce. 1 got to go when Bell gets called up. Let's say that's Figueroa. So you got a lot of questions here of what you're going to do when you bring Gung back and when you call some of these guys up. So we'll have to see how it turns out. But I think they have a lot of depth this season. But let's take a look at the lineup. Easy. What did you say the opening day lineup was supposed to look like?
What I seen was, and this is not official, but the batting lineup went Jaso 1, McCutchen 2,
Okay.
Freeze 3,
Right.
Marte 4, Cervelli 5, Polanco 6, J. Hay all day 7, Mercer 8, and Liriano 9.
That's exactly how I had it written down here. I didn't know if Freeze would be 3rd or Cervelli, and then Freeze 5th if Cervelli was 3rd. But I don't like how they're putting the lineup together.
That's crazy, actually. That's ridiculous.
Well, you love it. You know you effing love it.
I'm hating. I'm directly
analytics.
on this.
I think
all
this
your
is
boys, all your boys are in the lineup. That's your squad right there, son.
Listen, here's how I'd put it together. And
That's your squad.
this is with David Freeze.
Yeah, ain't gonna be no different.
Well, I'm saying when Jung-ho Gung comes in, it could change up a little bit.
Right.
But I'd bat Gregory Polanco first. This is versus righties.
Dude sucks.
Man, get the hell out of here with your garbage. John Jaso 2nd, Andrew McCutchen 3rd. I'd bat Starling Marte 4th, Jung-ho Gung 5th, Josh Harrison 6th, Francisco Cervelli 7th, and Jordy Mercer 8th. Oh, I said with Jung-ho Gung there. I would actually, it's the same thing. If David Freeze was the guy playing, I'd bat him 5th instead of Jung-ho
So
Gung.
you put why Polanco at leadoff?
Because he's a high on base guy. As long as he starts hitting a little better, which he's going to, he's still a young guy. He's going to improve his bat this season, and his on base percentage is going to go up because he already takes the walk pretty well.
All right. Well, what about why? Jay says not a better leadoff hitter then, huh?
No, I want some speed.
I'd prefer to have speed at the top of my lineup.
Polanco's got speed, huh?
Oh, definitely has speed. Are you kidding me?
We'll see about that.
Man, are you down on Polanco? He doesn't even have speed now. He stole 27 bases last season.
27?
27.
All right, that's not too bad. It is.
All right. Now, versus lefties, you're going to like this even more. I heard they're batting Jordy Mercer first. I'm not even lying, man. I heard Jordy Mercer's going to bat first, at least sometimes against lefties. Now, like I said, he's over a 310 hitter versus lefties in his career. But again, they're just going with that analytical stuff, I guess, man. But I don't like it. I guess it would be Mercer, Kutch, Freeze, Marte, Cervelli, Harrison, Polanco, and then Morse 8th, I would guess. Because David Freeze is going to be playing third base. There's no Gung, and you don't want John Jaso batting against left-handed pitching. So I guess that's when Morse would be playing first base until Gung comes back. I personally would go Josh Harrison, Francisco Cervelli, Andrew McCutchen, Starling Marte, Jung-ho Gung, David Freeze, Jordy Mercer, Gregory Polanco. Bat Polanco last against lefties.
Yeah.
And that's with Jung-ho Gung back, obviously. With Michael Morse in the lineup instead of Gung, I would say move Marte to 4th, Freeze to 5th, and Morse down to 6th. and then bat Jordy Mercer 7th still. I want Jordy Mercer at the back of the lineup. I don't care if he
Well,
hits.
I don't want Harrison at the leadoff spot.
Not against lefties.
Yeah, he's horrible leadoff, man. He's not a
Okay.
leadoff hitter.
So you like Mercer better?
No.
Not feeling it.
I have Giraffos up there. I don't care who's pitching, lefty or righty.
I don't know.
If you want him there,
I think
whatever.
Harrison's your best option. I actually wouldn't mind seeing him bat second.
What about versus righties? Do you like Polanco there, or would you rather have Harrison there too?
Depends if he learns how to hit lefties, man. I mean,
No, I'm saying versus righties.
Oh.
Polanco.
yeah, I'm fine
or
with
Harrison.
Polanco in the leadoff spot.
Right. Well, look, here's what I see as a potential lineup later this season and through 2018 outside of Cervelli, because I think he'll be gone next season. You got Polanco, Marte, Kutch, Gung, Bell, and Harrison, and then Cervelli and Hansen. And that sounds like a beast lineup to me.
Yeah, if these players can actually come through.
I think they're all going to come through.
If Bell develops a little bit more, I'd like to see a little bit more power out of him.
That's
if
why I
he's
have
a
him at
hitter.
5th. If he doesn't develop that power, I'd put Marte at 4, Gung at 5, and put Bell in the second spot because he's still going to have that on-base percentage that I want in front of McCutchen. But easy. I didn't realize this segment was going that long. Why don't you wrap this segment up and we'll do pitchers in another segment?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's just the way you explain it, the options are endless. But I'm telling you what, these guys in the minor leagues, Alan Hansen, Josh Bell, these dudes, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Well, listen, what did I tell you about the Cubs like 3 years ago? I was like, the Chicago Cubs are going to be very good very soon. And you were like, no way. Cubs will never be good.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of options here for our infield, our outfield, best in baseball. And we haven't even talked pitching yet. And I'll tell you what, we got a lot of talk about there, too.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to finish that up with part 2 of our Pirates segment. Fans, if you want to follow us, you can hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Go to that Facebook page, like it. Go to that YouTube page, YouTube/bet_the_spread. Subscribe.
YouTube/bet_the_spread. YouTube.com/bet_the_spread.
Yeah, everyone knows already.
You need that .com in there, man.
They all know already. We're going to get back at you with part 2. Finish up this Pirate talk. This team's looking stud.